Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Tuesday, March 10th. And I was just listening to Pete Higgs at this whole doing a press conference. I was just listening to it. He's still talking. So, markets in the uh, Trump about this being almost over. That was pop. We're heading at 67.15s, and they popped this all the way up here right into this 67 or 68.20 area. Almost took it out. We've been up there flirting with it in the overnight. Backing off a little bit right now. But right now, the back up in an area which potentially can make a difference and get us back on track again. But it's as it is with these headlines. Um, there's a few things that need to start happening before the market's going to just back off that thing. Of oil to that straight needs to be resumed there as yet. So we will see. I'm just listening on the news. I'm going to hear them talk about it. Yeah, make yourself an opinion about how far along they are. I think it's going to be a few more weeks, maybe have more of a semi-permanent presence there. But as soon as the shooting stops, we probably market's going to be going. But anyway, so that was that pop we had yesterday. Now going into the news for today, we had the small business optimism index came out. That came out at 98. A little bit they expected 99, it's a little bit weaker than expected. They also have existing home sales at 10, 3-year auction at that's it. It's not read, and then we have an inflation read, a PCI read coming on Friday. But today, not a whole lot of news to drive the market. So it'll be a little bit bad market general sentiment is, and then how they are interpreting the headlines as they are coming out. But so far, nice little pop late yesterday. Let's see if they can hold it. Now, if they these lows, especially that 67.60, this area, we can certainly start retracing these single prints right back down into this lower area, the 67, 15 to 30 here. I mean, 15 here is where we were trading yesterday, and also that was below this key area. I had my F1. So the areas that drew on the air, I'm not going to worry about moving those a whole lot. It's kind of where they are, and that's the bigger picture is changing. So right now, as you can see, we are up above this area, the 67.60s, and if that comes out, we may see a rotation back here towards that lower area. We'll see how it develops today, but so far the overnight has been a pretty positive territory. Now, right now we're getting some weakness going into the 68.30s. General area congestion, and they could not take it out back up again. So that's where we are right now. So I would start off range bound. I would maybe keep a slight bias to the long side still. Just given the overnight and the pop. If it doesn't get traction, 775 and the 67 60s. If 60s comes out, I would look for a retracement trade right back into these lower areas again. So that could certainly happen. Now, yes, the pop like that, the headline pop like that, it doesn't mean much. I mean, it could very well, if it's they come out to more headlines like that, yeah, it can so you can get some traction. But right now, it's anyone's guess where how long it's going to take and if there's more to come. So unless there's uncertainty and not the final solution, then we'll talk about it's going to be volatility in the market. Now, oil is trading at 90. I saw on oil yesterday absolutely freaking collapse. They were down all the way down in the overnight to 80s. They were all the way down to $80 a barrel again, and then right back up to 90 now. So that's today still. It's that price of oil which is really getting the market spooked. Now that's if it's just a spike like a few days, it's not going to do much. If it lags, where it holds on for a couple of weeks, 2, 3 weeks, the next CPI numbers, inflation reads, probably going to come out with an increase in inflation. There's going to be energy-driven inflation. Now we have a CPI read tomorrow. That's not about what's going on. It's too early. It's not in that. We're going to reflect higher prices based on higher fuel prices. I mean, the fuel prices, diesel has jumped quite a bit, and everything gets touched by the price of diesel. So and everything transported around is going to get more expensive because of that, and that's how it's going to show up in those inflation numbers. But I would start off with a bias, with a slight bias to the upside, and see if you can hold that 60 level. And if it's they're backing off a little bit right now, given that they're backing off from the highs as much as they are, we may just look for early weakness. Still looking to buy against those 75 and 60s, and for rotations back up again. So still looking for the market to potentially trade higher. But if they take out that 67.60, which is this big congestion area, then I would just look for I would just stay on the short side and see how far they want to retrace it. Now, just the probe below it, running the stops below it, not so much. But if they start running below, staying below 67.60s, I would be on the short side of this. Looking for retracement trade of these single prints. Looking to buy against the 40s, the 30s, down to the 15s for rotations back up. But just not at that point. There's one big general area of support on the F1. And unless they take out the 66.50s, we are just on the weak side of this in this lower rotation, and it's sort of low. So rotation down. So that's the level I got these three support areas on the F2. The 67.40s, the 30s, and the 15s are all related to that little rotation you see here on the F1. So starting off, still keeping a slight bias to the upside, looking for early weakness to buy against these 70. But if both of them comes out, then we just take that off lower. Now, if it holds and it starts trending back up again, I would be looking for a short setup with a little bit of cautions against the 90s, the 6800s, 6815s up to the 68. They can get up above 60. That can get us right up here in this upper distribution again. So let's see if they can stay off the lows here and hold this together. So that's the ES to get started. On the Nasdaq side of things, Nasdaq is already up. They took out there right back into this distribution again, and a little bit much stronger than the ES is. And in terms of where they are, so they are pretty much range bound. I would start off the same way, given the pop we had yesterday. Looking to buy against support. They just took out the 40s, so the next level down is going to be 850s. Below 850s, I'm going to look for that retracement trade below. Trace these single guys again. Now the lower areas would be the 600, so they're down here at the this support area. This is 620. So these two support areas on the F2, the 690 and the 620s. That's this general blob of support. So that whole thing comes out, yeah, we can certainly start heading back down again on the Nasdaq. So, but initially, I'm going to look to buy against, and the only level left right now is really that here, the 850s, so 24 850s for a buying opportunity. But if they retrace further than that, I think we're just in a retracement mode and looking for retracing of these single print M prints. Still looking to buy against the 780s, 740s, 680s down to the 620s, just not as aggressively if that area comes out. So thinking going back more range bound at that point, and then looking to still to buy against support. And if the 600 comes out, they start taking out this area, start heading lower. Yeah, bets are off. We're heading lower at that point. So that's where we are. So still having a slight optimism that we may see a little bit of strength here early on. But as I said, for right from the get-go, I'm going to be looking for some early weakness to get long for rotations up, but only down here to that 840 to 50s. And on the ES, that was what was that? That was at 67, 60s. And if they take it lower than that, I'm going to be looking for retracement rate to the downside. So some both different levels. Nasdaq feels a little bit stronger, but as you can see, that's okay, fine. So they had a strong start of London open. Now it has been drifting lower and heading back here down into right back to the mean right now, a little bit below it. So we'll see if they're going to be able to make a stand here pretty soon. If they can't, well, then be us heading lower. So that hope we'll be switching back to the short side and see how far they can take it. So that's how we get started on the ES and Nasdaq. Now looking at the bonds, they're not moving a whole lot. They're retracing to the downside. Well, right down here at the single print East 1602.03. So they right there. If they start retracing these prints, yeah, we're back on the short side and heading lower again, I'm thinking. So you get a little pop like this, they can certainly reverse this all the way down and then much lower, but they backed off from the highs. So I would look to buy weakness against these 1602.03 and the 60 and the 1530s. That's the last ones I would buy against. Early on, I was looking at this area, the 1415, but they took that out already, so they've been done with that. Now on the way up, I'm looking for short setups against the up to the 2425s, and looking to buy weakness against the 1602s and 1530s. 15, that's not should be there. Against this area, the 1516 here. But I'm thinking below that 1530, I'm taking off any long buys. Yeah, it's going back range bound on this thing. The chances are they may rotate right back down here to the around 1530. So in the bigger picture on the bonds, as you can see, we had a pretty good move to the downside, a little pop based on news or based on that headline, and we can find ourselves right back to this attractor in no time. So, yes, watching these two support areas, if they take those out, I'm looking for moves down here back to that 115, 16, maybe even down to that 115 level. So that's the bonds. We have a 3-year auction coming out at 1. We'll see how that's going to shape things up. They usually don't make a huge move on the long-term paper, but it's you never know. I mean, Yellen, she was funding all the debt on these short-term bills, so they're all coming due and have to roll at a higher rate. So I don't know quite how that process is going, but that's probably not going well with the yields at 4%. So that's where we are at on the bonds. Back to the ES and the Nasdaq, and so no news really to drive the market today. We'll pop from yesterday, get some lower levels. But on the ES, I'm watching these two areas, the 67, 75, and 60s. That's my decision point for taking off the long bias and shifting to the short side. And on the Nasdaq, the only the 850s to it, so we'll see if that's going to hold them up. All right, so that's how we get started. So I'm going to wrap it there. Good trading, guys. Let's see how this whole day shakes out. Probably it could be a little bit volatile today as well, but it could also be slowing down a little bit. That crazy stuff is starting off on a Monday like we did yesterday. That was brutal. Anyway, good trading, guys. See you back at 11:30 for the next update. Later.